What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR, Bitcoin, different charts and indicators. So when you take a look here, we're sitting at 421.74. Pretty solid close on the daily. Currently for the week, we still have 19 hours left of trading time. And hopefully we get this close above this golden zone that we've been fighting with for an extended period at this point. Ideally, we would like to see a close above this wick or this wick here. Of course, primarily 430 would be the best area, and even better would be above this key level of resistance. It looks like we are finding that bottom off of this move here, which was confluence with this upward sloping trend line or the bottom of the channel, and this key level of support here. And it looks like the double bottom ended up playing out that we were speaking about. We were saying for some time now that this could be forming a double bottom. We were saying that when we started getting a little bounce off of this move here, and it looks like that ended up playing out pretty well. We're talking about that for the past couple weeks. And let's see if we can continue this move higher. I was expecting a little bit more on the move after hours as we jumped to 116, I believe it was. I thought MSTR would have jumped a little bit more, but it ended up jumping like 1%, 1.5%, while Bitcoin went up. I think it was like 3 or 4% after hours, something like that. But it is going up. Of course, we would love to see the old movement that we were seeing. When Bitcoin would have days like this, MSTR would run up, 8, 10, 15%. So we were hoping to see something like that, but maybe it's going to come at some point, maybe just not yet. Maybe we are just slowly increasing the volume because these candles are looking larger. If you compare the size of these candles here on the dailies, you can see there was a lot of days with no volume, and it looks like volume is starting to kick up, at least these past 2 days. So hopefully that can continue and we can see some nice movement here on the weekly and daily. But we are breaking out of this downward sloping trend line. It is definitely starting to look like a confirmed breakout. I think once we can break these two levels that I keep speaking about, which is this level here, and then of course this level here. Once we can break those two, I think it's going to be a confirmed breakout. How high we go is the next question, and for how long. Will we get some kind of major pullback, or will this thing continue to ride? Will we get momentum to finally kick up and get volume on MSTR? So we'll see with all that coming up in the next couple weeks and months. Hopefully July continues to be a good month. It is really just the beginning of the month. So hopefully this can continue for the next couple weeks. I know August and September tends to be, weaker months for Bitcoin. So we'll see how that plays out, of course, on MSTR and Bitcoin. We'll see if that holds true or if it ends up being a little bit different this time. Yeah, 20-week SMA is starting to curl up more aggressively as we are making our moves up, but it is starting to look pretty nice. Hopefully we can see some larger candles, of course. We want to see some large green candles like that, some jumps in the openings and stuff like that without major pullbacks. And it looks like this 20 is getting ready to push above the 50, which is going to support price in that breakout. And here on the 4-hour, we already got the 20 pushing above the 50. So it is looking very nice right now, and it is starting to get that nice confirmed upward sloping trend line here on the 4-hour. So it looks like this thing could continue at least temporarily before we see some kind of retracement. But the price action is looking pretty good overall. On the RSI for the weekly, it is picking up momentum. We are running into this more than likely key level of resistance. We've seen resistance here before, like we've already spoken about. So we might find a little bit of weakness in price as we make our way up there. But until then, we could see a nice little move. We're sitting around 65, and that resistance is around 67 to around 68, somewhere in that area. And here on the daily, a nice move, and we just broke this local high. So let's see if this thing can continue pushing to overbought territory so we can get a nice overbought move and have real strength behind price. When you overlay the 12-week global liquidity over MSTR, you can see that this is still pretty much in play. Still looks pretty good. Maybe we're just getting this dip here, and maybe we can continue to see higher legs. Also, remember the correlation isn't 100%, so you can't expect it to completely follow this all the time. So a little bit of deviation is normal. So now that we are seeing a move potentially to the upside, it could make more sense and continue to follow that trend. Global liquidity is just showing an excess of liquid cash flowing through the global economy. So as there's more cash flowing through the economy, that allows people to purchase more assets like Bitcoin, MSTR, Apple, Google, Nvidia, you name it. On Bitcoin, we're looking very good. We were talking about this potentially being a breakout. As we broke out, retested the top of this range, pushed back down. Then we ended up closing back above the range, which we said was a key level. If we closed above this range, we said at 110, if we got a close here, that we would see all-time highs. We ended up seeing that and absolutely blasted through that. So let's see if we can continue moving. And it looks like we are finding that rejection that we spoke about, which is this trend line right there that's been established. We've been talking about this for a while as well. We found rejection multiple times, so it made sense that we would find rejection along the way. So it looks like we're finding rejection before we actually even come into contact with it. Hopefully we can blast through that, find support off of it, and continue the move. And then we will more than likely find support at the dotted line. Be aware of these levels, and don't be surprised if there's some kind of shallow retracement or sideways action before the next leg up. But then again, once Bitcoin gets excited and a lot of momentum, this thing can really just blast through levels, and all the price action and technical analysis is out the window at that point. We look very good on the daily. A nice close here, our highest close ever at 116. So we did make it up almost to 117. Actually, we made it to 116.8. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a cool off period. Hopefully this thing can start ramping up and we just break through this upward sloping trend line. That's what I want to see. That's what we all want to see. Hopefully the momentum can continue. The price action is looking very bullish and the momentum really kicked up over here. So throughout the day, this is kind of what we saw, where we saw the nice move up, but we didn't see that final aggressive move that we just saw at the last second. This move kind of happened gradually, and then right after hours, this thing absolutely catapulted higher. So hopefully we can continue that momentum throughout the next trading day and get some momentum and hype around Bitcoin. It is very strange right now. I do feel like we're going to keep going at least temporarily higher because it just doesn't even feel like we're at all-time highs on Bitcoin. It just feels like a regular day. It feels like we're at like 60,000 right now on Bitcoin. Everybody's still like sad and down and nobody's talking about Bitcoin. It's kind of weird. So I wonder if we are going to continue pushing up higher because of just the sentiment overall. I feel like we're not close to the top just yet, at least in terms of like that euphoria phase. I don't think we've even come close to that. So I can see us at least climbing a little bit higher, maybe getting some sideways action and continuing the move further. Also, like we said previously, global liquidity has been increasing day after day, week after week. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin's move gets extended a little bit longer, just like we were already anticipating. But hopefully we do get that right translated cycle and we get a nice extended move. If we do get a left translated cycle, then I would expect a very aggressive blow off, euphoric kind of feel coming relatively soon. And then that would be the end of the cycle if we get a left translated cycle. If it's a right translated cycle, it might be like this, where it's just like slowly creeping up. Nobody's talking about it. Bitcoin's at 130. Nobody's even excited about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at 140. Nobody's excited. And then in Q4, people start getting excited and then we continue up higher. Those are just random numbers. Don't take that to heart, please. But yeah, I think price actions look pretty good. I think we can see higher levels. I think we're just getting started. I would like to see MSTR start to get some more powerful days against Bitcoin, because right now it's almost like you could be better off just holding actual Bitcoin, or like a 1.5 leverage or a 2x Bitcoin ETF. Because remember, that's why we're in MSTR, to get the leverage. So when we don't get the leverage, it's pointless to be an MSTR. Not saying that I'm selling or that this MSTR is terrible. I'm just saying I want to see what we're in for. The reason why we're buying it. That's what I want to see. But I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin still. I think the next key level of resistance is, like I said, this dotted line here. Like I said, we'll probably find we'll probably stumble here, but I think if we get like an actual sideways chop for, who knows, another month or 2 months or something, maybe it's at this region. Just throwing out a random idea, not saying it's going to happen, but let's say we actually catapult here, we push past, we hit like 134, we wick back down, and then we close underneath this level, then we retest again, and then we fall off, and we chop for August, September, and then after August, September of downward chop, then maybe we start pushing back and we touch that trend line again, and then maybe we make it to the top of this trend line, and then maybe we find rejection or we actually break through. This is just a hypothetical idea, not saying it's going to happen, just talking right now. That is it. I'm guessing what could play out if we were to push up, wick, chop August and September, because it's typically not the best month for Bitcoin, and then we start to continue that push higher for that October, November, December, hopefully blow off top, and then we can see much higher prices. And I would hope that we're even higher, of course. I hope August and September are green months and we just maybe chop a little bit and just continue up higher. That's what I want to see, but that doesn't always play out. So I want to make sure I'm not hyping you guys up and having your expectations too high and then have you guys let down, or you make bad trading decisions based off of that because you're emotional. And I don't want you guys to be too emotional and make bad trading decisions or investment decisions because of that. So I'm trying to keep you guys grounded more than anything. So we're trying to go step by step. That's why I was so focused on breaking these levels. That's why I have these levels drawn out. So we're stepping through each level. Break through, retest, push up, find rejection, push back down, break through, retest. I'm just trying to keep you guys going step by step, day by day, week by week, and so on. And we're finally coming to this next target. So now I'm talking about the next one. And I think it's going to potentially break through here, maybe a little bit of a rejection. And then I think we can see that midline of this long-term channel. Overall, I'm pretty bullish right now. It's nice to see a little bit of a breakout. Hopefully this can continue and we see a larger move. Tether dominance honestly really called this move. That's why we were feeling very confident that Bitcoin was more than likely going to break out, because we talked about it. We were saying on the 4-hour, on this upward sloping trend line, Tether dominance was touching the trend line, shooting off. Touching the trend line, shooting off. It didn't actually touch it, but it came close. Touching here, shooting back up. Touching here, shooting back up. And then when it touched here, it was like touch again, keep pushing. Then we got the close underneath, and I was like, oh, there we go. This might be the move. And then we got the steep sell-off on Tether dominance and a rally on Bitcoin. Sideways chop for a bear flag. And boom, a larger move to the downside still. And we've been talking as well for an extended period where we said this is a key level of support and resistance. We want to break that level. I'm going to take this off now. We were talking about this level, and we broke underneath it. And we did say that we could find some kind of resistance here, which we were getting a little bit of a rejection throughout the day as I was watching it. And then we ended up falling straight through it, which is a nice sign. And I did say if we broke this white line here, that we would see this level right here, this key level of support. and that looks like where we're finding a bounce. Let's see. Remember, when you have a clean move to the left-hand side, you can have a clean move back. So I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to drop, but be aware that we could see some kind of retracement. But at the same time, this thing could chop sideways for a couple days and create a bull flag for another leg down. And I would love to see that because that's a larger move on Bitcoin, of course. With that being said, the next thing that we're looking at is either a bounce here and we get a fall on Bitcoin, or we break through, retest, and then we see lower levels. And to be more specific, with the lower levels, I'll draw that out here. We will find some kind of bounce more than likely at this level here. If we break that, then we probably see this level here. So that's kind of where I'm looking at right now. So that's where my eyes are set. If we were to fall underneath, get a close, retest, push down further, that's going to be a large move for Bitcoin. It should be. And hopefully for MSTR, if MSTR does its job, which we hope it does. And yeah, it should be a very good thing for Bitcoin. On Tether dominance, we were also speaking of these moving averages being very powerful above it. We had the 200, the 50, a lot of resistance above it, and that absolutely pushed price further down, getting that nice move on Bitcoin today all the way up to around 117. And all of this is happening while the dollar is actually going up, which is very interesting. Like I said, they aren't always inversely correlated, but sometimes they are, sometimes they move together. And it looks like right now, they're actually moving together. So this thing looks like it's trying to break out. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't say it's a confirmed breakout yet, but it is trying to get to that point. So we'll see over the next coming days and weeks what ends up playing out. Maybe this gets rejected and we push down further. On a larger scale, like I said prior, we are, like when you zoom out on a large scale, you can see that we are at a key level of support on this bottom of this channel here. Every time we get to this region, we get a large move to the upside. So be aware of that. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.